Hello everyone, back with another video with another interesting topic. So today let us discuss on circulation. Circulation. As we all know that our heart consists of how many chambers? Our heart consists of mainly four chambers. The upper chamber consists of atria and the lower chamber consists of ventricles. So I am going to draw a diagram. Okay. Let us first understand how does the movement of blood takes place from the lungs to the other tissues and how does that travel. Okay. So the upper two is called as the, see, in this diagram you can see this chamber is called as that is the left side of the heart is called as the left atrium, and the down part is called as the ventricle, that is the left ventricle, and the right side of the heart is called as the right atrium, and the down part is called as the ventricle, that is right ventricle. So there are mainly four chambers in the heart, that is the left atria, left ventricle, right atrium and right ventricle. So these are the four chambers of the heart in which we have to understand it properly. So here what do you have? Here comes the lungs. So as we breathe in air, what do we breathe? We breathe in oxygen. So the lungs takes up the oxygen. Okay, here the upper one is called as the lungs. Here as we breathe in, like this, as we breathe in oxygen. So we breathe in oxygen and give out carbon dioxide. Here what happens? As we breathe in oxygen, the oxygenated blood from the lungs first enters the left atria. This is important. See, the oxygenated blood from the lungs, first it enters the left atria. The left atria receives the oxygenated blood from the lungs. Okay, this if they ask in the exam, dash receives the oxygenated blood from the lungs, you should say left atrium receives the oxygenated blood from the lungs. Through which? Through pulmonary veins. Through pulmonary vein. So it is the only vein. Pulmonary vein is the only vein which receives the oxygenated blood, which transports the oxygenated blood from the lungs to the left atria, whereas all the other veins, they carry deoxygenated blood except for the pulmonary vein. It is only one big vein which carries the oxygenated blood. Don't get confused between the other veins and the pulmonary vein. What is the difference? Other veins, they carry deoxygenated blood, whereas this pulmonary vein, it carries the oxygenated blood from the lungs to the left atria. This is the role of the pulmonary vein. Pulmonary vein. Okay. Now, as the blood enters the left atria, the oxygen rich blood enters the left atrium. In turn, it comes to left ventricle through bicuspid valve, known as bicuspid valve. So which is the valve which is present between left atrium and left ventricle? You should say bicuspid valve. Through bicuspid valve, the oxygenated blood which has transported from the lungs through pulmonary vein enters the left ventricle through bicuspid valve. From the bicuspid valve, it reaches the left ventricle. Now what happens? Now the blood is in left ventricle. And the other important organ from the left ventricle. So till this much the blood has to go for lungs for oxygenation purpose. So that is known as pulmonary circulation, whereas the blood has to be transported to all the rest of the organs of the body. So that is known as systemic circulation. So now let us learn about systemic circulation, that is organs. The oxygenated blood has to travel to different organs. This is the organ, this is the lungs, and these are the 4 chambers of the heart. Okay, this is the different organs, this is the lungs, and these are the different chambers of the heart. The left part is called as the left atrium and the left ventricle. The right part is called as the right atrium and the right ventricle. Between the left auricle and the left ventricle, there is a bicuspid valve, and between the right auricle and the right ventricle, there is a tricuspid valve. Tricuspid valve. Okay, so now the blood is in left ventricle. The left ventricle, the oxygenated blood is in left ventricle. Now it has to reach to all the other organs, that is all the other tissues, that is the rest of the body. All the organs should receive oxygen from the heart. The heart has to pump. From which? So, from left ventricle, the blood goes to all the rest of the organs through aorta. So, through aorta. That you should remember. Through aorta. From where? From left ventricle. See, from left ventricle, through aorta, the blood travels to all the other organs of the body to give oxygen for the tissues. Okay, this is the role of aorta. So, from the aorta itself, the blood travels through systemic circulation. Systemic circulation means the circulation where the oxygenated blood reaches all the tissues and the organs of the body. That is called as systemic circulation. From where? From left ventricle. From left ventricle through aorta, the oxygenated blood goes to all the other organs of the body to give the oxygen for the tissues. Okay, the oxygenated blood goes to all the other parts of the body through aorta from the left ventricle and reaches all the organs of the body. And from the other organs, all the organs of the body receives the oxygen, and in turn it gives out carbon dioxide. Now the blood is impure, means the tissues have taken the oxygen and it has exhaled out carbon dioxide. Now the carbon dioxide rich blood, so that is called as you have 2 types. The arteries, normal arteries, they carry oxygenated blood. Normal veins carry deoxygenated blood. But only pulmonary artery and pulmonary vein, it is vice versa. So let us see how. Now what happens? See, from these organs have received the oxygen, and now the oxygen has been supplied to the organs and carbon dioxide has been expelled out. Now what happens? Now this carbon dioxide rich blood has to again go for lungs to replenish the oxygen source which it is lacking now. So what it does? From the deoxygenated blood, the deoxygenated blood which carries from all the veins through vena cava, you should say. Vena cava. From the veins through vena cava, there is anterior and superior. There are two types of vena cava. So from upper and the lower part of the organs, okay, all reaches the right ventricle through vena cava. Okay, right ventricle. So the vena cava transports the deoxygenated blood, that is the carbon dioxide rich blood. Okay, now it has to go for lungs for oxygenation purpose. So that impure blood, deoxygenated blood through vena cava, veins, from veins carries and through vena cava, it goes to right ventricle. Veins in turn, it collects veins, all transports deoxygenated blood. Later on, vena cava transport through vena cava itself, it reaches right ventricle. Okay, the upper organs, anterior, the superior and inferior vena cava. There are two types of vena cava. From upper also, lower also. All both parts, the impure blood, that is the carbon dioxide rich blood through vena cava enters the right ventricle of the heart. So now the right ventricle is carrying which blood? Deoxygenated blood, that is the blood which is rich in carbon dioxide. This has to go for lungs for oxygenation purpose. How does that go? From the right ventricle, what happens? Sorry, it enters right auricle. A little correction, okay? It enters right atria. Right atria. Through right atria only it receives the deoxygenated blood. The deoxygenated blood from all the organs enters the right atrium of the heart. From the right atrium, through the tricuspid valves, it in turn enters right ventricle. So first it enters atria, then it enters ventricle. Okay. Like this, again it enters, again this blood goes for the lungs for oxygenation purpose. So this is how it travels. This transportation is called as double circulation. Why? Because the blood travels to the heart twice. That is the meaning of double circulation. One is known as pulmonary circulation, where the blood goes for oxygenation purpose, it goes for lungs, and again it enters heart. Again it goes to other organs, again it comes to the heart. So the blood travels to the heart twice. Hence it is called as double circulation. After this, again the blood goes, which carries from the right ventricle. What happens? From the right ventricle, now the blood goes to the lungs for oxygenation. Which is the artery which carries the deoxygenated blood to the lungs? You should say pulmonary artery. This is very important. Pulmonary artery. So the pulmonary artery in turn carries the deoxygenated blood. Means the blood which is rich in carbon dioxide. That blood. Pulmonary artery, usually arteries carry oxygenated blood, but only pulmonary artery carries the oxygen deficient blood. That is the blood which is rich in carbon dioxide. Pulmonary artery carries the deoxygenated blood from the right ventricle to the lungs for oxygenation purpose. So this is how the cycle completes. This is the meaning of double circulation, and you should remember the role of pulmonary vein and pulmonary artery. Pulmonary vein is the only vein which carries the oxygenated blood, whereas the other veins carry deoxygenated blood. Whereas the pulmonary artery also, pulmonary artery is the only artery which carries the blood which is rich in carbon dioxide. But whereas all the other arteries carries blood which is rich in oxygen, but pulmonary artery only, that is the only artery which carry the deoxygenated blood, that is the blood rich in carbon dioxide. From where? From right ventricle to the lungs. Pulmonary artery carries the deoxygenated blood from the right ventricle to the lungs for oxygenation purpose. This is how the circulation takes place. Hope this video is useful for most of you. Thank you for watching. Take care and bye-bye.